Have you ever seen somebody's dog performing various fancy tricks and wondered if perhaps your dog could do those things too? If you have, then there's good news. The answer is probably yes. All dogs are trainable, even though some are easier to work with than others. With some time and effort on your part, though, you can teach your dog all sorts of things. Personally, I have taught my female Chihuahua, who I got at about a year old. I have worked with dozens of different dogs at the animal shelter I volunteer at, and I am currently working with my 11-month-old German Shepherd mix to hopefully one day be my service dog. And so today I will teach you how to teach your dog just about any trick you could want to teach with 4 simple steps of teaching a marker word, luring the dog into position, fading that lure into a hand gesture, and then fading your hand gesture into your verbal command. Now, believe it or not, your first step to training a dog doesn't actually have to do anything with the trick itself. Before doing anything else, you should teach your dog a marker word. This is explained by guidedog.org, an organization that's dedicated to training dogs to help blind people, as a word that you say when your dog does something correct. This helps you train your dog because in order to effectively teach your dog anything, you must be able to communicate with your dog what it did correctly within a second of it performing that behavior. Otherwise, as the dog trainers at the right steps point out, your dog will have already performed several other behaviors even 5 seconds after that behavior, such as looking away, sniffing the ground, or sneezing. So, to teach your marker, you will first say the word you want to use and then immediately treat your dog. And that looks something like this. Osiris? Ding! 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 And you want to repeat this until your dog is responding to your marker, even when not paying attention to you, before you offer food. After you've taught your marker, you can now move on to lure training. The American Kennel Club explains lure training as using food to lure your dog into the correct position. And you do this because the body follows the nose and the nose will follow the food. So, and then when your dog performs the correct behavior, you want to immediately mark and reward. So for something like sit, that'll look like this. Oh, sorry, come on. Or up, ding! After a few repetitions with the food in hand, you want to move on to an empty-handed lure. You might have to go back to using food a few times, but you want to fade that out as quickly as possible or your dog might become reliant on the food. The next step is fading this lure into a hand gesture. Now your hand gesture can be anything you want it to be, but it's typically easiest to pull something from the lure or to be able to integrate your hand gesture into the lure itself. So for sit, I use one finger up. And to lure that, I would use my finger to pull over the dog's head. And then you gradually want to fade that hand gesture down into one simple movement. So you would go smaller and smaller until you have to do is put one finger up to prompt the dog into a sit. You repeat this until your dog is reliably performing the behavior using the final hand gesture alone. Once your dog is consistent with that, it is now time to add in your verbal command. For the first several repetitions, you want to use your verbal command and the hand gesture at the same time, and that would look like this. Sit. And you do that until your dog gets the hang of what he's supposed to be doing, and then try using the verbal command without the hand gesture. Your dog might be able to get it on the first try, and if he does, then mark and reward that immediately. If not, then just wait a moment and put your hand gesture up to prompt the dog into the sit. And you repeat this until your dog is able to perform without the hand gesture. Once your dog has mastered this, your dog has mastered the trick. And so those 4 simple steps of teaching a marker word, luring your dog into position, fading your lure into a hand gesture, and then fading your hand gesture into a verbal command will help you teach your dog just about any trick you can imagine. So, if you've seen a well-trained dog performing fancy tricks and wondered if your dog could do that too, rest assured that with some time and effort on your part, it is certainly possible.